Style Monday. Yeah, we are about exactly 8:30, and it's definitely time for another edition of It's Your Opinion. And I've got a special guest in the studio this morning. I have Omar Isaacs, and he's along here with Eagle Eye Anderson. So I want to say good morning to you, gentlemen. How you guys doing this morning?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Grand Bahama. How are you?
Buenos dias.
Oh, you getting to Cuba?
Not yet.
Morning, Grand Bahama. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. And another edition, and we're gonna get it all started. And you had a good weekend.
Man, can I tell you, I went to Abaco for no one day.
You finally made it to Abaco. You didn't make it last
I
week.
finally made it back to Abaco and back to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
You know?
When you going back again, let me know.
All right.
I don't think I can be able to make it. We got there's going to be another funeral, but I don't think we're going to be able to make that going back.
Yes,
All right.
I would definitely be.
How Abaco coming along?
It seems to be in a different island from Abaco.
Different island.
It's different island, you know what I
Different
mean?
That's right.
Abaco got hit so hard with all the hurricanes. And
Yes.
they're bouncing back, you
Yeah,
know?
they're doing
Bouncing back
yeah.
strong. So.
Still a lot of work to do in Abaco.
Plenty of work to do. Plenty of work to do in Abaco, you know?
Yeah.
What we need is Abaco just need regulations, some regulations and things in place because I see that things happen with those regulations.
Mm-hmm.
There's some regulations. See, growth could be good,
Yeah.
but you can't let things go too far with those regulations. Regulations is definitely
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Abaco.
But you don't want to stand growth though. You don't
No,
want to
but
stand growth.
you don't want to grow at any means.
Yeah,
You
that's,
see what I'm saying?
that's true.
You want growth, but the thing about it is, like I say, I have nothing against giving some people residency. I
Mhm.
just get people citizenship. So vote. I have nothing to make you function,
Uh-huh.
but I got a problem when you're giving so much citizenship to people.
Very good point.
Okay,
Very good
now,
point.
residency.
Yeah.
I don't find with.
Yeah.
That's the problem I find with
A
Abaco.
lot of Creole. I talking about everywhere
Yeah.
you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
population moves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We need the population for the economy.
And
Yes,
they,
we
and they're
need
pointing it
that.
out,
But
as
you
I'm
know-
moving around, they're
Uh-huh.
pointing it out to me, and I say, oh wow,
Everybody
oh, wow,
get.
oh, wow.
How come all these people get Bahamian passport and then basically no one speaks English? That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one I find now.
You know, man, it
So that's
is an
Abaco.
issue. No, it is an issue.
Yeah.
And I believe sooner rather than later, someone
Mm.
gonna have to come to the table and say, we gotta know who are gonna be members and who are gonna be citizens, because members can't necessarily get the same perks as a citizen. Because I born here, I know what it is to be a blue-blooded Bahamian out of West Grand Bahama. Because my grandmother is a Hollingsworth Nesbitt, and then from the Bimini side, my great granddad is Ghana J. Lavardi and the Lavardis. So we know what it is to come up and build certain communities, at least within my family line.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
our special guest this morning is the
Omar Isaacs, potential candidate for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, proud Grand Bahamian, proud Grand Bahamian.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, where do I start? I always go back to my St. Vincent days. I went to
St.
elementary.
Vincent.
St. Vincent
Oh,
de
yeah,
Paul.
You had an encounter with my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Martin was my PE teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started there because it always was my roots that in the southern Grand Bahama,
Right.
it was just a quaint little quiet community, but it was rich in culture. I then moved into Grand Bahama Catholic High School. I'm Crusader.
Mm-hmm.
Then
So you're saying you're Catholic?
Yes,
You're saying that
yes.
you've been going through the whole
Catholic
educational
regiment, yes,
system.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Now I can say beyond there, I was then shifted to St. Paul's Methodist College, but ended my high school career at Miami Northwestern Senior High School.
Okay.
That's where I got my 4-year track and field scholarship to the University of Iowa. Go Hawkeyes!
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's where I received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a focus in international relations. From there, I was, motivated to come home and start a gym, powerhouse gym in 8 Mile Rock.
Oh, but old YMCA?
Correct.
No, okay.
Before
Oh,
then, we was in Bartlett Hill.
Bartlett Hill.
Yeah, two residents in
You call
Bartlett
it
Hill.
by Will Bartlett Corner.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it. You know it very well. You know, I shared the privilege of having a business with my dad, Derek D.I. Isaacs. He and I were very deep in the sports, and many people may know the name and know, you know, his contribution to the community. During that time, I started a gym, and it was a family-owned business, so it gave me an opportunity to then explore the world, because I got the opportunity to be brought on with the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism. And after about 2 years here in Grand Bahama, and I did very, very well with that portfolio, I was then asked to be transferred to the Bahamas Tourist Office in London, where I spent 3 years. During that time is where I believe the seed was planted in me, as to say, hey, one of these days you'll be able to, you know, bring yourself to a greater capacity in service. But I don't want to digress. I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. After I did that stint in London, I was then transferred to the Bahamas Tourist Office in Plantation, Florida.
Oh, okay.
I was the sales and marketing general manager, the youngest sales and marketing general manager for the entire United States market at the time. After 5 years there or so, I was then asked to come home and help the Office of the Prime Minister build out the Bahamas Investment Authority one-stop shop here in Grand Bahama, and that was when, you know, this whole journey began. I believe that I said to myself, you know, if I can see into all of the different aspects of government, the judiciary, the legislature, as well as the executive branch, one of these days I'm going to be able to put myself forward and become that member of parliament, that senator, but somebody who could sit around the table and form policy. And Don, I tell you, for the past 7-8 months, I've been hitting the ground running, getting feedback from my constituents in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, and they have equipped me with all that I think that I need in order to put myself forward to be the next member of parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Edney, sound like you ready to go vote for him. Edney just was looking around for his card.
Yeah, the purple one, I
The
believe.
purple one.
Yeah.
Well, the truth about it is this. You know, the Western seat is a seat that is up for grabs. It's a seat that has been tumbled, you know. The truth about it is that Western and Grand Bahama is a seat that we speaks to empowerment of our people in Western and Grand Bahama.
Definitely.
Basically, for me, I think that Omar, as a young person, seeing that 8 Mile Rock has produced so much athletes, could create an arena for that area, we got the Great Buddy Hill, you get all of the Jones, you get all of the, I think it's time that 8 Mile Rock comes and builds itself, because truly, 8 Mile Rock should not need Freeport for sporting facilities, for training. If the athletes are there, come in there and see the opportunity to give back to their community. So basically, I want to congratulate you for your aspiration to become the next MP. The race is still open. The options are still out there. So we have Pastor Ricardo Grant, who's also on the ground. So I want to ask.
heard that he well, I saw a video of him saying that he is offering himself.
He is offering himself. So
but I'll put a but there, because he did not say where he's offering himself.
Well, the one question I would like to ask him before we go into that, the FNM is shuffling. They are making things up. Are you committed and understand that if you are not chosen as the candidate for Western and Grand Bahama, will you still support the party? Because the truth about it is that you don't have to be leading to be a part of the group. Okay? So that's one of the first questions I want to ask you.
Yes.
If you have not been chosen as yet, now I think you can be a great candidate, but I'm not Michael, right? I'm not your constituency.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are not chosen to be the leader, are you prepared to work with Pastor Grant?
Oh, I'll put it out there publicly as something that happened, and you can verify for the fact checkers. Me and Pastor Grant have a very good rapport. I actually worked the by-election with him.
Okay.
And during that time, you're able to see the full scope of an election and what goes into that election. But after, he would have come to realize, and I told him straight up that I had plans to put myself forward. We had a very frank conversation at the FNM headquarters, and I told him straight out, listen, if I don't get it and you remain the standard bearer, you will receive my financial resources and all of the support of me and my family as you did in the by-election. But if I was able to be named as the standard bearer, then I want to get that same type of energy.
Amen.
We shook on it as men.
Okay.
And beyond that, listen, I have a very good rapport with him.
Well,
he's a very, very gifted pastor and bishop.
That is what we need from the next 21st century. Are you going to be a leader for the PLP?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you going to be a leader for the FNM? Are you going to be a leader for the people? Because the young people of West End and Grand Bahama don't need a PLP or FNM. They need a leader. I believe that you have good leadership skills and ability.
I appreciate that.
But are you able to differential being a government of the people, not a government of the FNM?
That's a very good question, my Edney. And I can tell you this much, because it all boils down to your motivation. I know what my motivation really is. My motivation came out of being able to sit in the office of the Prime Minister and see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I say that to say this. When we took up government, I had very, very high hopes. And I saw some great policies that were put forward, like during Dorian. After Dorian came the pandemic, no public servant was laid off. Nothing in the public service had any type of hiccups. That was admirable, and I want to give hats off, because I don't believe anybody gives this gentleman his flowers, but I didn't do it this morning. You see that same Peter Turnquest? That is a very, very skilled man who was able to chart us to a course that was treacherous. And the bottom could have very well fallen out. But he held it together, and I wanted to give him, because I was right there. I was right there during that time. And when you talk about during the lockdowns, as well as the pandemic, you had persons, old and young, who were on some hard times. The food voucher program done, Edney, you looking at a man who, with his two hands, went out into the community and had to sign people up. 2,500 people, me personally. I went out in the community and signed people up, got their registration, got their proof of residency, and signed them up to the portal so that they could receive food vouchers. There was some great things done. Now on the other side of things, there was some, some hard times in there, but I believe for the most part, the Free National Movement is going to be the choice of the day. And you have some a crop of young leaders, like you say, like myself, for the Free National Movement, who are popping up, who are thinking next generation. They thinking about what the next Bahamas is going to look like. I think back on Pinlan, and Pinlan was 36 when he took the seat of Prime Minister. The only reason why he stayed in there for 25 years is because he was young enough and he saw the future. I do not blame older leaders for taking the helm, and they would go ahead and only see 5 years. The Prime Minister now, what is he, 73 years old? 72, 73? Man, he didn't do
73
this year. I believe the end of this month, eh?
June, I think.
Yeah, well, it close. But tell me if he could see 20 years down the line. Eh?
Well,
You think he could see it?
truly, I definitely feel that there is a new direction that is needed for the country and the world.
Mhm.
In fact, I watched the candidate for the U.S. that run for presidency, and he is asking people to run for independence because this
Who you talking
election, the older white guy.
Oh, you know with Bernie
Bernie Sanders.
And I would say to you that this is going to be the most critical election in the history of the Bahamas.
I
because
agree.
I would say to you this, okay? This election will be to determine whether people are going to give the FNM or the PLP a final stroke. And if the FNM and the PLP refuse to show that they have repented, they will become the obsolete of 1967. Because whether you believe it or not, the independents are rising. If the independents voting could be able to convince the young voters to register, there will be no place for the FNM or the PLP in the history of this country no more. Now, this is your last chance.
I beg to differ. I beg to differ.
I
But
beg
let
to
me
differ.
say this much. Let me say this much.
Hmm?
And I get everybody under the sound of my voice. Unstoppable change is here. Unstoppable change has come under the leadership of Michael C. Pintard and Shannon Cartwright. I am so confident because let me tell you something. The greatest spokespersons for Mr. Pintard inside Marco City are not FNMs, you know. They're PLPs
I agree with that.
who understand that this man looks out for everybody.
Because
And that's the thing.
he's a mature. The reason why I say this is that I have seen PLP that said that Michael helped them, did not ask whether they were PLP or FNM.
But you can't come around them talking about him bad.
See, Michael, and that's the thing. What I do admire about Michael,
Uh-huh.
because he understands that God, family, and
Mhm.
country come first.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
At the same time, you see the way government is spending their monies.
Mm.
Our monies are being squandered.
Okay. But I can say this to you, Edney. I have no problem. Over the past 7-8 months, like I mentioned, I've been going door to door on my walkabouts. We've successfully hit all 10 polling divisions in West Grand Bahama. I've been over to Bimini about 3 times, and I've had walkabouts and touch base with the base. But in West Grand Bahama, my team, Isaacs and I, have already hit the ground and touched about 10 different polling divisions. And I'm not afraid to say that I've rode the coattail of Shannon Cartwright and Michael C. Pintard in telling them, when you talk about leadership, this is the leadership that you should look at.
We definitely need a new direction.
Man, but the
Definitely
direction,
need a new direction.
you gotta see what these men are about. And I am foot for foot behind the model that they've put in place, because when you talk about leadership, you talk about nationalism, you talk about somebody who doesn't see red or yellow, they see Bahamian first, and then we are going to create and bring forward those policies that will create a successful environment here in Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama right now, and talking about West Grand Bahama, and it's a travesty.
Is the Bahamas for sale or is the Bahamas for Bahamians?
That's a very good question. That's a very good
You call
question.
that a good question?
That's a good question. That's a good question. We know.
Edney, is that
We
a
know.
good question?
We
Is
know.
the Bahamas for sale or is the Bahamas for Bahamian first? Because everybody don't understand that Bahamians don't feel voice for the last 15 years in this Bahamas.
That's why I say it's a good
It's
question.
the Bahamas.
It's a good segue. It's a good segue.
You know I mess.
It's a very good segue.
That's always have to deal with him.
Man, but I, yeah, if you
Go ahead.
want,
Go
man,
ahead.
I
Go
appreciate it. I appreciate that question, because there's a new gen that's coming up. Like the millennials, they understand that they don't want anything given to them. And I'm speaking from my first hand. When I talk, I'm talking from first hand experiences and first hand data that I've gathered. In West Grand Bahama particularly, the greatest demographic in the next election is going to be between the ages of 18 to 45, 50. This generation is not asking for anything. They just want you to put things in place for them to be successful. And that's what this leadership has shown me, which is why I've, come on this side. This is what they have shown me. I've started a seed program in 8 Mile Rock in West Grand Bahama. SEED, SEED. It stands for Sustainable Economic Empowerment and Development. That is a program that we went into 8 Mile Rock High School first and foremost to just show the kids about an alternative to fiat currency. We taught them about the sand dollar and the central bank digital currency. They were so pleased, and I added a caveat to that. I say, this ain't just for you. This is for a business exercise, because it was to the business class. All you need to do is slap one little $19.99 service charge on this, and I taught them how to create their own e-wallets for themselves, their friends, and their family. When you open up the scope and the mind of the people, man, sky's the limit, especially for this younger generation. Beyond that, I am leading the charge in West Grand Bahama in terms of development. I believe that's going to be my platform for most part, because the Lord led me in that particular vein. For the past 2 years of being the project manager of Seaward Village, a gated community that's going up inside Deadman's Reef. I've recently been brought on my investment management firm by Bohemian.biz with the Edney Holdings Limited Group. That's a group out of West Palm Beach, Florida, who has they've secured and bought the West End Village gas station. And because of my experience at Seaward Village, I was referred to them, and they brought me on to help them get the concessions that they need and rebuild the West End Village gas station. Last but certainly not least, and a point that a lot of people are waiting on to hear a status update with, I am a consultant to Mr. Fred Black Jr., the president of West Capital Ferry, and Kyle Smith, Harbor Launch Services, to launch a ferry out of West End into West Palm Beach. So I don't know what it was, but I know it's a God move. But I am deeply involved in development in West Grand Bahama, and that is just the tip of the iceberg, because Team Isaacs, my team, and I, after we collated all of that information that we received from our door-to-door, you know what we came out with? We came out with a vision, and our mission, which is a 20-year plan, will be to create a second city in the second city. That's 8 Mile Rock City, but we're going to call it Westport City, a collection of townships and settlements that's going to be governed by a centralized city government and be able to, have economic development plans while we balance that cultural preservation. You have section in Holmes Rock, section A, B, C, D, and F. They're privately owned subdivisions, and you have right now at this very moment,
straight across from the north to the south.
Right now you had at this very moment some developers that have come through by Bohemian.biz firm that are looking into creating gated communities, not just gated communities, but senior assist living for United States and Canadian demographics who want to get away from mainland USA and be nearby to take advantage of the amenities on that side, like the healthcare, because let's be frank and let's be real. Our healthcare system here in Grand Bahama has fallen to the wayside. We're still waiting on
it was never there.
Well, right now I
It's
believe
progressive, but it's never been there.
we're
struggling.
We're dealing with
struggling.
pain management at the Ryan Memorial
Yes.
Hospital, as opposed to just trying to help sustain somebody before the air ambulance come and get them. And it's really a travesty what we've been seeing here in Grand Bahama. Beyond that, come on now, Edney. I still waiting for the new day Grand Lucayan Hotel to be sold.
Well, I saw you was gonna put $187 million to fix the road in 8 Mile Rock. I mean,
you from
take
Texas,
it. I want you to
you
take
from
it.
Texas,
Take it.
Yeah, no man. I mean, I know God lives in the Bahamas, and He definitely lives in Grand Bahama and West Grand Bahama. But I mean, them holy road, they got it fixed. There's some real
At
old-
189 million.
At 100, we must be building a bridge from here to West Palm Beach.
Exactly.
We ain't gonna need the ferry.
You went to school in the States. You know, we have something called interstates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overpasses.
I mean, man. I mean, I don't.
So that might be coming. That might be a part of it.
It's things like this during my 15-year stint in government that, you know, I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. I saw when I was in London, when, you know, administrations would have come through with about 15, 20, 30 people contingencies. And I'd be like, what they doing with all these people in London? Like, is it necessary for all of these people to come? I my master's, I never spoke about it. I got my master's of science in organizational management and leadership. You know what is at the heart of governance? Management. And I want to stick a pin right there, because this is something that I've been telling all of the constituents in West Grand Bahama when I go to their door. Listen, not just because somebody talk loud and talk fast and is a good talker, that means they know what governance is all about. You all need to ask these people. Listen, Grand Bahama and West Grand Bahama particularly, anybody come to your door, you all need to ask them for their resume, because I know I used to carry mine. I used to go to your door and I used to bring my resume. You can ask my wife, Tara, hey Titi. She is my scribe. And when the people ask me, just like you asked me, hey, what makes you qualified to be the next candidate or the next MP? I would pull out my resume and show you my time in government, my time in business ownership in West Grand Bahama, and understand the nuances of what once was. But let's build a track and a road to what is to become. Westport City is a reality that will, should I get the nomination, that will come to fruition.
Let's put just a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
What are your plans on, because it will piggyback on something that Edney said, on encouraging young persons to vote. Listen, let me tell you all exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So Grand Bahama, listen carefully, and the whole entire Bahamas. Young people saying this is their comment. What are you voting for? That's what you.
Are you going to be an MP for one time 5 years?
Yeah.
People.
Are you going to be an MP for 5 years?
What?
Because after one time, the people don't see you no more unless on TV.
Yes.
Well, I mean that's a different different thing. But when we talk about young people,
young people,
you're talking about that same age bracket that you called earlier. They are disenfranchised. They feel like I don't even understand what this is all about, because really their whole thoughts are clouded now, because they can't see why should I even register or even vote.
And listen, and like you mentioned, first and foremost, it ain't coming from when they see me, it ain't coming from somebody they can't feel like they're in touch with. When I hear a young man or a young lady say, bro, what y'all dealing with? You know? And it's a don't come around me slapping up. It's a young group right there in Pine Forest West that I always meet them slamming domino. And that conversation I had with them, when they see it coming from somebody who could articulate, listen, this is why I chose the Free National Movement, and it all boils down to this, because it is a level of re-education that needs to happen in our country, especially amongst the youth in the electorate. There's a viral clip going around of Charles Maynard that is telling people what is the difference, the fundamental difference between the Free National Movement and the PLP is, with that side, they're going to give you a fish for a day. Every day, they can give you a fish. But with the Free National Movement, under the leadership of Michael C. Pinto and Shannon Dawn Cartwright, they are showing people that they are going to teach you how to fish. They may even fund a boat so that you, your family, and the community can go out and fish and live a sustainable life. When I speak to the youth of this country, I speak about what is to come. I was one of 2 government officials in 2020 who was blessed to take a course funded by the United Nations, and it was from May 2020 to November 2020, and it was all about resensitizing government officials to what really is to come. After the first 2 months of that course, I saw that our Bible is this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals that all member states have signed on to incorporate these 17 sustainable development goals into our everyday life. And I say, hey, I don't see much people talking about these, and I don't see anybody talking about and getting our youth prepared for the fourth industrial revolution or the takeover of AI, and what you guys need to be studying to make yourself not just knowledgeable, but in consideration set for those next gen jobs, for being able to be a business owner and a company owner within the next Bahamas. Because 2030, really, because it's called the 2030 Agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals. It's called the 2030 Agenda. I believe in my heart of hearts that that's the start and the end of a Bahamas we want to know. And I don't see anybody else that's getting us prepared for it, but I know myself and Team Isaacs have taken this to heart, and we've incorporated this within our agenda.
Yeah. Well, next thing I want to mention to you, and we'll go back to politics, and I'll explain a couple things. In this country, when we look at the comments of the young people, what I voted for, etc., and then you look at government themselves, you look at the Constitution itself.
Oh yeah.
And you look at how flawed, and I mean, people have called me and cussed me out when I tell them how flawed the Constitution is. But you look at the Constitution, and what you don't see a lot of is me and you, me and Edney. What I mean by that is the Constitution itself is so concentrated into government.
Yeah.
Ain't really a whole lot about the people. It's really a hard concentration on government. We're talking about what the Prime Minister is responsible for, what the Senator is responsible for. We have all of these things. I mean, clauses and clauses and clauses, but it ain't really a whole lot about me and you and our development.
That's why I encourage persons, if they read the Constitution, focus on chapter 3. That's the rights. That's when you need to understand your rights.
It's one of the shortest one in the Constitution.
But it have plenty of content that would help you to lead a productive life and understand what your rights are as a Bahamian. See, all of the other parts.
Really get when you go in front of a magistrate who is actually, or a judge or a Supreme Court justice, or even the Privy Council. When they talk about your rights in the Constitution, sometimes your rights that you have in that document, you don't get it. They look at it differently, and they sometimes, most of the times, they side with the government.
Are you
because
prepared?
They're employed with the government.
Are you prepared, if elected, and if you've seen that these persons have accomplished things outside of the Constitution, do you think your party has the backbone to go and void it? Citizenship is number one.
Yeah,
corruption.
When you mean void it, you mean
repeal.
Repeal it. Because see this is the problem I have with government. And if I get this phone from stealing and I make $100, when you find out I make $100, you should take my phone and $100. Where is the accountability of governments? How come you go in owning $500 and in 5 years you good for $5 million? Okay,
that's a good question.
That's investment, man.
Yeah.
You weigh $5 million.
Yeah.
it has to be, do you believe in the sovereign wealth fund?
Oh yes.
Do you believe, these are the questions I want you to answer in 2 minutes. I don't want you to take more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Number one, do you believe in the sovereign wealth fund?
I do.
Number two, do you believe in marriage between a man and a woman? Only.
I'm married.
I just want to say
I'm
these are
married.
questions I'm asking you.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want you come and become maybe the next prime minister and push gay agenda on me. I'm asking you this question. Do you believe that the Bahamas is for Bahamian voice? Do you believe that citizenship should be given away so easily in this country in the next 5 years? In fact, now we don't have 100% Bahamian.
No.
If you're not born in America, do you believe that the laws has to be changed concerning the Constitution? That citizenship has to be done and a greater emphasis have to be put on it. Do you also believe?
Oh, you rapid firing me. Go ahead,
yeah.
Edney. Rapid fire.
I can write. Let me write it down.
Yeah. No, I got three, four of them. He on his fifth one right now. Go ahead.
Do you also believe
Uh-huh.
that the gambling houses, that the VAT monies are doing? How do you believe that the education system should be funded? Should we take our sovereign wealth fund and pay off our bills, give back to the people? Do you believe in a citizenship registration? These are none of the things that I see happening in the country. We don't know who's true Bahamians. If we have a sovereign wealth fund, do we have a citizenship registration? There was no accountability of the country. And for 40 years we run like this.
That's true. 50,
You know?
50.
Are you going to do the law, or are you going to run by my seat?
Well, let me start with one of the questions that you asked concerning. Let's start with the gay agenda, and we've seen it pushed. I believe the Bahamas and the world right now is playing by this rule book, the Sustainable Development Goals.
Which is the UN.
Yes, the UN, and inclusion is something that is happening worldwide, globally. But I am a person who has sat on the side of my spiritual mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe, who has always encouraged us that before you create any policy, you put the good book on the side of it, and then you make reference to the policies that you are trying to create. And I am going to go with what's in that good book. And that's what I have taught myself. I stand on those principles that I find in the good book, and that's what I've taught my two sons and my daughter what is going on. I've been a married man now for going on 12 years, and it's been marital bliss. Had some ups and downs, but I love my life.
If you didn't,
Yeah,
then
that question-
something ain't right.
Yeah.
That question goes on.
Yeah.
2 minutes I was gonna make.
Yeah.
Go on.
So in terms of our economy, there needs to be some type of economic development, and within that economic development, let's say for instance Grand Bahama, we need critical mass, Edney. We need critical mass. We need to have a certain population that comes in.
Exactly.
But like you mentioned, in terms of regulations, we need to be able to say, hey, we lend you into this country. You can enjoy the fruits that the Bahamas have to offer. But there's going to be a delineation as to who are members of this state,
Exactly.
as opposed to who are citizens of this state. A hard policy needs to be crafted to address that issue, because I do not feel like somebody who comes in and is a member and they're a contributing member.
Come to a competition in the next 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And like I said, at the start of this, that's my mindset. And I cannot speak for the leadership when you ask me, hey, are you willing to repeal certain things? Mr. Michael Pintard and Shannon Cartwright have shown me in what they do inside the House of Assembly on a weekly basis that they are more than capable to lead us through and chart a course into the future. Where they see things that are deficient, where they see policies that are, off of where we're headed, I'm pretty certain that they're going to make the necessary changes. But in the spirit of collective responsibility, where they go, I go. Their vision is my vision.
So if you were elected, what ministry would you like to be in charge of?
Well, seeing as how I have a base of knowledge,
Ministerial post.
a ministerial post, seeing as how I have a knowledge base that's steeped in the tourism industry, I believe it's only right that I lend my new school vision to that particular portfolio. Because let's say, for instance, when the city of Westport is developed, I want to see a better business bureau down there. I want to see that settlement and that city have its own promotion board. You understand? We have a promotion board, but there's some things that's going on with that promotion board that I think needs to be addressed quickly. But we have only 123 room nights in West Grand Bahama. A settlement.
That's down from the 80s of where we had around 800 rooms.
You understand me? From Hepburn Town in the east to the village of West End, you have some 26,000 people at me. That's a market within itself. That's a ready-made market with a consumer base and a buying and spending power within the hundreds of millions. You hear me? And we have yet to develop that to its true potential. And let me let everybody out there know, if you don't know, West End is still the capital. You understand? A secondary port of entry needs to be developed out there.
Is West End truly the capital?
It is truly the capital. It is.
It is, but what happened
The
is
administrator resides in Grand
we've
Bahama.
allowed the development of Freeport
Correct.
to basically take over all
Overshadow.
of the functions that we used to have
In West End.
West
Where-
Grand
West Grand Bahama.
Wherever the administrator resides, the capital moves to.
You're
Okay.
still a West Grand Bahama administrator.
Wherever the lead administrator is, the capital resides.
Hey,
Now-
hey, let me stick
Freeport.
up in. Let me stick up in there.
Freeport ain't the capital.
There's still a West Grand Bahama
Freeport never will
administrator.
be the
The
capital.
You understand
lead
that?
administrator.
I hear what you're saying.
Now-
I want to stick up in there because
ahead.
I work with the West Grand Bahama Administrator's Office in almost everything that BuyBohemian.biz does. From being able to get business licenses on behalf of people, to incorporating companies, to our concession applications. But that West Grand Bahama Administrator's Office is housed in a building the government don't even own.
Exactly.
These are the type of things that blows my mind concerning this administration particularly. And when you talk about, having a whole port of entry in West Grand Bahama that Bahamians can't even use.
Because it's private. People have to remember that it's
Yeah, it is
private.
private, but you do have the marina as well as the airstrip
Right.
that can be utilized for the betterment of the country. And you have owners and management up there that are salivating at the chops to collaborate with government in that kind of way. But I go back on the old on the old adage, where there's no vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
So how are you going to increase getting to Grand Bahama? It's too expensive. Opening the island of the opening West End will definitely be
A plus.
a plus.
Yes.
We see
And should be done by
and
force.
should be done
by force.
by force.
Correct.
Yeah, because
Correct.
there's no one seems to really have no interest.
There's
in-
nobody really lobbying.
and to really move West End to the level that it should be. It's just so disheartening when you see how we have just allowed the Yin project just to
Rot.
fizzle away and
Rot.
rot, and the airport is private, the marina is private, that whole section is private, and we have not advocated to make sure that the people who hold the title for again have not been able to be responsible and to start to make some movement on
Or turn it back
And
around.
what we should do is we should put ourselves in a position
Yes.
that we confiscate all
All.
of that. The government should confiscate all of it.
Eminent domain.
Because you,
Yes.
as the title
You
holder,
fulfill
are
it.
doing absolutely nothing.
And it's the same thing
Yeah.
in the city of Freeport. You have all these vacant lots and dilapidated buildings. If you can't live up to your responsibility, there is clauses which I don't believe the central government have been able to enforce that call for eminent domain. You can go ahead and you can make a case where we could take these things back and use them for the betterment of the people.
How do you feel but opening the exemption of the bonded to the 8 Mile Rock and the western area for the area, maybe for 5-10 years to promote the growth?
But let me
of
say
the
this to
area?
you. Let me say, it's an awesome question.
Yes, it is.
I could say to you, it's already there.
It's already there. Yeah.
It's already there. Under the East-West Grand Bahama concession under the Tariff Act, this is one of the acts that my company specializes in. We were able to get, to date, over $2.7 million worth of concessions for development inside West Grand Bahama, for small to medium-sized businesses, all the way up to developments that are going on right now in Deadman's Reef and in West Grand Bahama proper.
Right. And it don't have anything to do with
With
Grand
the
Bahama Port
Hawksbill
Authority.
Creek
This
Agreement.
is
The
a
Hawksbill
government-
Creek Agreement
Yeah.
is the Hawksbill Creek Agreement
This
Act,
is something completely
and the
different.
Tariff Act is the Tariff Act.
For the Bahamas government.
Yes.
Bahamas government put that in place.
Yeah, that and it you were able to get you were able to get the same concessions, duty-free concessions, through the OGA Click Clear portal that you would get if you were here in the city of Freeport. People
Little bit
just
more
don't know about
challenging,
it.
but
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
harder.
but
I
you
just say a
see,
little harder.
hey,
It's
that's where
much harder.
that's where I've created a whole business model. You see what I'm saying? That's my livelihood right now. I've created a whole business model off of the lack of ease of doing business in Grand Bahama. So that's how come I tell people, listen, I don't just talk this, I walk this. And I don't see anybody else, including the current member of parliament, because in my walkabouts, people say they haven't seen him. They don't know when last they see anybody. You have some, I remember this one old lady. Man, when I come knocking on that door, she almost pin up. She said, I don't know why y'all coming to my door. I say, Mom, my name is Omar Isaacs, potential candidate for West Grand. I don't want to hear nothing from you, because you got on that red.
I've been there.
I say, okay. I say, Mom, what problems are you having? And you know, after she tell me about my behind, because all she wanted to do was for somebody to hear her. She wanted some type of catharsis to say, hey, at least somebody heard me. And after she tell me about my behind, Edney, you know what she say? Well, now what you gonna do? Let me hear what you got going on. And that way we had that one-on-one, and it's a powerful thing when you have those intimate one-on-ones with persons, and they could be able to tell you from first-hand perspective what the historical context was in West Grand Bahama, where it came to where it's at now, and where they want to see it to go. And my candidacy, me becoming the next member of parliament, it's going to be based on what the people have told me they need, and I'm just going to utilize them just as much as they're going to utilize me. And I'm going on record to say this: I pride myself in 812-4499. I ain't changing that number.
8 Mile Rock has been Container Port, Bahama Rock, Bahama Cement. All they have done is given jobs at a little stipend. The bridge to 8 Mile Rock, government have to pay for it.
Correct.
Causeway.
The causeway.
Yeah.
Shouldn't those companies pay for that versus the government? Because, for number one, they benefit for the bridge. Okay. As the new aspiring leader for 8 Mile Rock, what is your objective and angle to ensure that these companies that are benefiting from the natural resources and the environment damages it's returned back to your environment and to your society.
That's it.
Where is the scholarship places in place?
Now you're getting somewhere.
What portion of their funds are being allocated annually?
I am a strong believer in governments are supposed to govern. When you speak about the causeway, I believe that's a part of government's governing. You're responsible for the roadways, so that you should be able to pay for those type of things, because your constituents, your electorate, we traverse on those. Now, when you're talking about corporate social responsibility and you operating in the islands of the Bahamas, I believe one of the only potential candidates who had the opportunity to sit in the galley at cabinet meetings and at National Economic Council meetings. And NEC meetings, the National Economic Council itself is a smaller version of cabinet. And those persons deliberate on who can invest in the jurisdiction of the Bahamas. I say that to say this: all those conglomerates that you called, they were given heads of agreement in order to function in the islands of the Bahamas. Now, within those heads of agreement is where everything that you're talking about, everything that they are responsible to give back, that's where those things should be.
You mean the secret head of agreement the government continues to keep?
And don't want to give us any type. Hey, when you ask certain people about it, they tell you, I don't want to talk about that no more. That one finished. That ain't governance, man. Because like I tell you, at the heart of governance is management. Management of financial resources, management of natural resources, management of your human resource. And right now, I can tell you as much, this particular administration is failing on all counts. But I'll leave that right there.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just wanted to get your angle on that, because I see that it should be more done
Yes.
to those environments.
Yes.
The shipyard and all those other companies, we appreciate their contribution.
But remember, the Port Authority is the sole responsibility for that road. We did Warren J. Labardi
Yes.
Highway.
Yes.
Bahamas government paid for that, but that is actually in the Freeport port zone.
That is, it
the
is.
same with the causeway. We spent millions on that causeway. Yes, they did put some money into it.
Correct.
But the majority of the funding came by way of a loan for us to build that causeway, and that is in the government area. But that is the Port Authority's road. That is the Port Authority's road, and that was their responsibility.
Yeah.
So they got away with that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
hey, it is what it is.
But like I say, at the end of the day, governments are supposed to govern, and we don't know, because I'll be speaking ignorantly if I say I knew what was in those heads of agreement as to how they should be operating within.
Have you ever seen or read heads of agreement?
Yes.
You have.
I have.
Okay.
I have
And
vetted. I've vetted about 2 or 3.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, when I say vetted, after the office of the Prime Minister and the office of the Attorney General sit and pore over it, there are certain, let's say for instance, ratios concerning employment. There are certain things that, you know, corporations are responsible for while they're here. These are things that I do not feel, and this is just my humble opinion, the incoming Prime Minister, Michael C. Pintack, he ain't need no novices around him, man. He need people with business experience and experience in governance to a certain level, to that when he comes into power right now, he and Shannon Cartwright, he'll be able to give you a directive, turn his back and understand and know that that's going to be done. He can't be holding nobody's hand when he comes into power.
And he's a believe it or not, what a lot of people don't think, he is a communication man. When I say communication man, he will call, he'll show up, he'll ask you to do certain things for him. I don't care if you're PLP or FNM.
Yes.
He will ask, he always respects your professionality, and he will always ask for advice in that area. So that's an excellent thing.
Yeah.
One thing I wanna ask you, and this is kind of a little bit more of on a funny basis type thing. West Grand Bahama and Bimini
Yes.
are two separate areas. When I say separate areas, they two. I call
Two
them
different
separate
words.
constituencies.
Yeah, they two different words altogether.
Bimini,
But Bimini
being
sweet
the
though.
same.
Bimini sweet
Oh,
though.
always.
Bimini sweet.
Bimini and West End are not the same. They're different.
Yes.
Are you prepared? And this is something that I always kind of little laugh at.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to go to every single funeral in your constituency?
I already started.
You already started.
I already started.
Listen.
I already started. And
If-
it's only because when you are on these walkabouts, that's the power of being accessible
Yeah.
and going on these walkabouts and people seeing you in their community. I had the great opportunity to speak at a giant of a man, Basil Jones, who recently passed,
Right.
and his daughter Karen. And it all came through a walkabout. I was in their yard talking to BJ, her little brother, and you know they were mourning the death, but they were also celebrating his life. And in talking to him, I got to understand and learn about his life. So, you know, I tell you, when you see I'm talking to millennials, when I hear them call me bro, I know that's family talk, because you only call me bro because you see something relate, you know, and the root word of relative is relate. We have to relate, and that's how family is built, that family bonding connection. And that's what I'm getting when I move through each one of the 10 polling divisions and the 4 polling divisions in Bimini. But when you speak about Bimini, Don, I can tell you Bimini is bustling and hustling. That they have done a very good thing in Bimini with its cruise port, and it has some foreign direct investments that have created a sustainable job market over there. Only thing that I feel Bimini really needs is greater empowerment of Bahamian people. I want to see more Bahamian ownership, more than just bars, conch stands, and chicken snack shop, and car rental or go-kart rental.
Go-kart.
More
Go-kart,
than
yeah.
beyond that, I want to see, for instance, when the new airport comes on stream, I would like to see a Bahamian consortium of Biminites that take care of flight services, professionals who were trained in order to do that one function at that airport. Those are the type of things that I would gladly put policy in place so that they can get their just due over there on that side of the pond.
Yeah, I don't even think you can get fuel in Bimini.
No.
I don't think you could get
You can get fuel, but to say we own it, that's a different
Oh,
story.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you
can get
don't
fuel.
have to own it, but at least you're getting it. But at the same time, the tax on fuel is too high. But another question I gotta ask you is that we are faced with a population shift from Freeport to Bimini. We have also faced with training. Training has been something that all successive government has refused to invest in. If you
They
don't,
have, but they're not the result. They have not really been serious.
they are not
Mhm.
serious with it.
Yeah, they have little programs here and there.
Yeah, and basically, I'm gonna ask you a question within a question. We have people that only deals with tourism. Okay, we need the builders. We need this. We have programs, and programs are also in place. I've seen successive government before. They came and worked with Pioneer Technical Center. They created their own Pioneer Technical Center and create their shadow of people to do the things that is coming on. You spoke earlier about how you were going to inspire the other generation. So,
Yes.
8 Mile Walk is now at a turning point, and West End and Bimini. We need a backup plan for tourism in case COVID comes again. COVID will come again
Oh yeah.
in a
Oh
different
yeah.
form.
Oh yeah.
What other avenues besides your investment plans? What training that you think that would be essential for your area that could help the next generation? We need AI training.
Oh yeah. Don't try to take my answers, man. Let me answer the question, man. Let me answer the question.
All right.
Cause,
Answer the question, sir.
yeah, because when you speak about the backups, you speak about just the government attracting investors, both domestically and from abroad, who can be able to put infrastructure in place that serve as assets, not just to us, but to those around the world. I see it whereas the biggest trend across the world globally are data centers. Data centers, and we see these solar panel fields that are going up. Those are two assets that I believe infrastructure-wise we can take full advantage of, and here's why. In China right now, the AI phenomenon has really swept through, but they do not have enough computing power to meet the demand, and two, enough power distribution to meet the demand. And I believe us sitting just 40-50 miles off the coast of Florida, when Florida needs exactly that, looking into the future, we can be able to train up Biminites and West Grand Bahamians to understand the power of AI, what data center management is all about, and what it takes to upkeep those solar panel fields that is just 40 miles off the coast of Florida. We run some subsea cable networks and be able to power not just us, but also the Floridian market, who's going to need those data centers in short order. Trust me when I tell you this.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So we basically running out of time. I'm gonna
Yes.
let Omar have the last words.
Yes.
Edney, what you saying? You good?
Well, my training is essential for every nation.
Very much so.
I went to Hobart. Hobart motto is give a man a fish today. Okay? Train a man to fish.
Yes.
He don't need you no more. Give him a fish tomorrow, and he's back tomorrow.
That is the truth. And I told you that's the fundamental
That is
difference.
the basics on what I was trained on in Ohio. Give a man a rod. Are you prepared, sir, to put your colors aside? Give that man the rod. Or are you just prepared to feed him a fish? If you are that candidate, I endorse you.
I appreciate it. Well, let me shake your hand now. Let me shake your hand now, because I am that. I told you.
You don't get hey, we get an endorsement, and this fella can't even vote for you. He can't vote for you. He
But
can only endorse you and say, hey, I can give you a check.
That's
I can give
an
you a check.
influencer.
Write that check.
Hey, that's
Write
an
that check.
influencer.
I like
That's
the
an
check, but
influencer.
not only that, I own investment in Grand Bahama, so I can register for Grand Bahama. Of course.
Absolutely.
I have property in Grand Bahama,
Yeah,
so
man,
I
listen.
can build a house in 6 months and be there.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate the endorsement. I appreciate the ideology, and we started this conversation with me telling you about that same viral clip what Charles Maynard spoke of, and not to put
God
colors
rest his
aside.
soul.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Not to put colors aside, but that's truly the ideologies that attracted me to the Free National Movement. And I will end on saying this much. Everybody under the sound of my voice, especially those in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. The leadership under Michael C. Pintard and Shannon Cartwright, that leadership is steeped in collaboration. Myself, I am looking forward to the opportunity to have multiple town hall meetings with my constituents in order to understand, hey, this is where we come from, and if we're off course for the course that you and I have set together,
Okay.
then bring me back on course, please. Make sure I keep my feet to the fire. And that's exactly the type
We
of
hope
leadership.
if you hope you win, we don't have to put in at 9 weeks a notice to get you back on this show.
No.
Because-
I start by saying I was a proud Grand Bahamian who's tuned in to Mix 102. I catch the show.
Just recorded.
And make sure, listen, when you see me come with GB Glass, now let's not talk personal business.
No, I hate GB Glass. It's good.
No, I come and check it.
I need GB
you
Glass
know?
to be, because GB Glass wants to come in West End and because we want to spread.
Yes,
you know?
it's more.
We want to give the community a GB Glass out there because people of West End should not have to ride with the people for an operator.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
so we want to do that for West End and Bimini.
And we look
But
forward to
at the
having
same
you.
time, as a leader, are you putting infrastructure in place and taking the red tape away from me getting
Correct.
into there?
Oh yes.
But that's the problem with the leadership. So I want you to say, are you going to give this PLP boy a rod? Or you can give him a piece of fish?
No.
Are you
It's
going
a
to open
behemoth.
that?
You fishing
Is
boat?
a-
Fishing
hey,
boat.
with
is
with
fishing
all the
boat.
apparatus on it.
Eh? And the analogy,
Even
the analogy is high tide floats all boats. Edney.
Don't be a PLP brother, be a leader.
Yeah, no,
Amen.
high tide floats all
Okay.
boats. If that young man is doing well and he could be able to employ whomever, or because
Yes.
I'm certain all his brethren, they don't know which side of the political divide they on. If I help him, and I help many.
Yes.
So that's the type. That's what I was taught. That's what Derek D.I. Isaacs. That's what Warren J. Lavardi and Garnett have instilled in me. That type of public service, and it's just innate, bro. It's just innate. Hey, Grand Bahama.
He did call me bro, so.
Yeah.
You good.
He said bro, I get it.
Grand Bahama, thank you. Mix 102, Don. Edney, thank you for having me, man. And it has been an absolute pleasure. But Grand Bahama in general, when you know better, you do better.
It's your opinion.
And you know now what we have gotten over the past 4 years, it ain't enough. So when you see this unstoppable change and the locomotive that I have hitched my wagon to behind Michael C. Pintat and Shanna Dawn Cartwright, gears up, all I say is, get on board, man. Just jump on board. We can take you to the next Bahamas. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Register.
Register. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Even though we don't know when elections are going to be.